Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me at the Living to Do Married at First Sight review, Season 13, Episode 8, Family and Friends and Feelings. Oh, my. Oh, let's talk about these couples. I didn't think a lot went on this week. Looks like next week will be a little bit more interesting, but we'll start off with Brett and Ryan. A lot didn't happen, and a lot doesn't normally happen with this couple anyway. But Brett and Ryan seem like they're getting along. I think that so far so good with them. They seem like an adult couple, a middle-aged adult couple that is dating. They're mature. And I'm starting to like Ryan a little bit more than I have been. Each week, actually, more and more I like him. He seemed more down to earth, just a regular guy. And I just think he has a genuine interest in Ryan. In Brett. He goes to the gym with his friend. He meets with his friend Fernando, and they're at the gym. And I must say that Ryan does have a really nice body. He just looks really good, even compared to his friend there. He just really tight upper body anyway that I noticed. He talks to his friend Fernando, and he mentions that Brett and him have not consummated their relationship. And meanwhile, Brett's talking to her friend Christine. She confides in her that they're different. When they go on vacation, he likes to do more adventurous things, and she's more of a spa person, and so am I. But he did do the spa with her, I remember. So he did something that she liked, and she did something that he liked. I think they'll just have to compromise. It seems like it's more of an effort on her part, but I think she's willing to do it. They both agree to their friends that they're getting more attracted to one another, which I'm happy to know that. I think they do make a good couple. I think they could have a lasting relationship. Ryan, they have a housewarming. All the couples do. And when Ryan and Brett had their housewarming, Ryan spoke to one of Brett's friends, and he said that he's more talkative than normal. So that's a good sign. He wants to talk to her. So I think he can see signs of himself liking her. And I'm glad. He seems like he seemed like an introvert, but he likes, and I've noticed that little things. I know the editing, they make him say or do certain things, but there's times he's always touching her. He has his hand on her. So I really think he does like her. Not much more can be said about this couple. I do like them, and I hope they carry on. If it's a slow pace, so what? If it gets you to the finish line, I hope it does. So that's all I have to say about them. And then the next couple I'll talk about, it will be Jose and Rachel. I'm not really happy with Jose so much. Him and his wife, they went to this flower plant place, and everything that Rachel suggested, Jose was like downing it. Everything she touched, what about, well, let's get this, let's get that. I don't know. The way they make it seem is she doesn't really have much say, and I would hope that's not true. They have their little get together with their housewarming and their friends, and Jose's father comes, Jose Sr., and his wife Julie, and one of Rachel's friends, Aaliyah, I think her name is. And when they're talking, and Jose mentions that all his boxes were checked, which I think he's lying, because all the boxes are not checked when it comes to Rachel. He does like her a lot, but there's this issue with their money, their finances, and he brings this up at the housewarming. I don't know if that was appropriate, but he again thinks they should have a joint account, and he talks about that, and she mentions the travel, and I heard Jose say something. It wasn't really showcased well, but he was saying how he was getting his life together. He wasn't partying with his friends and doing bullshit like traveling. He said that, which another dismissive thing to say about Rachel when that is very important to her. And Rachel, jokingly says that she's going to get him to Europe one way or another. Julie is Jose's stepmother, and she talks to Rachel privately with Rachel's friend, and Julie admits that Jose needs to lighten up a little. He really does, because one thing I didn't mention, he brings his precious whiteboard showing all his finances on the board, including the FICO score, to everybody at the housewarming party. Who does that? Nobody does that. That is incredibly anal. It's just weird, just very odd. He needs to slow down with that. Yeah, he is a tightwad. Julie says that Rachel should not give up her control, which is sound advice. That's advice coming from Jose's part of the family telling Rachel not to do that, which is a woman to a woman. Don't let a man do that to you. You should have your independence. You should be able to do what you want. You should be able to, your ideas should be included in the decision making. I don't see that of Jose just yet. We still have time. I don't know if it's just editing, but it does look like he's a stick in the mud with things that she says. He needs to let go of that a little bit to make this work, because she's going to feel like boxed in and she doesn't have any say. And when you feel boxed in and cornered, you start to act differently, like an animal in the cage. And that won't work out if he doesn't give a little. So, well, that remains to be seen. All right, let's talk about Bao and Johnny. I would have to say a lot was going on inside of Johnny, his anxiety. It was coming out of him. He doesn't feel like he might be, he wasn't ready to be married. And he is crying, he's upset about this. It's really, that anxiety is coming out of him. It's going to come out one way or another. I think Johnny needs to slow down. I think he wants too much too soon. It's only been 2 weeks. He says he's not attracted to Bao's personality, and that's the root of his anxiety, I believe. And I feel really sorry for him. He's looking for a deeper connection. I think he just needs to slow it down. Maybe do some relationship exercises with Bao. He's looking for that deeper connection. And then just maybe it won't work. If you are not attracted to her personality, physically he is attracted to her. It's just her personality, and he's mentioned that in the episode, the prior episode, and he's trying so hard. I think what he might need to do is not try so hard. Just let go and just be. And it's sad to see him. He's a good guy. Bao thinks that they were matched because they're different. They're opposites, and she's guarded and he's open. She's an introvert. He's an extrovert. He was like the life of the party, I guess, a party boy when they're college days. So they're different. I don't know if he's looking for that party girl up and go, and if they're just not connecting on a deeper level, or on a level that you would want to take the relationship to the next level. And he talks to the guys about it. When he talks to them, they give him good advice. They said to be patient, and he really does. I think he just really needs to settle down and be a little bit more patient. Like I said, I think he wants too much too soon. So he even meets up with, or he's in the restroom, it looks like, at this bar, and Jose comes to check on him, and they embrace. I guess Johnny really did need a hug then, or maybe they wanted a hug, but he needs some air. He needs some air. He needs someone to talk to. He needs a therapist at this moment, because I would hate to see him mess it up, and I think he's expecting a lot, and he just needs to slow down. Poor Johnny. I just really hate this for them. They do have their housewarming. It's island theme. There doesn't seem to be a spark there, but they decorate the place. Their friends come over. Bao's friend gives them a book on relationships, and Bao is so happy. She goes and hugs her friend. It's a subtle, not so subtle way to say she wants that, what's in that book to work in that relationship. But they do talk after their housewarming. They're in bed, and they had a good talk. And Bao, she admits that she was overwhelmed about the party, and they were able to do it together. She notices and recognizes that they do work well together, but that you're going to need a lot more than that to have a loving marriage. But next week, it looks like a little bit more excitement between those two, so hopefully we'll see something more. I didn't think much really went on in this whole entire episode, but a lot of jitters for Johnny, and hopefully he'll read that book and it'll get a little bit better. All right, let's talk about Gil and MYRLA. Gil, we see first pulls up on the street in his fire truck, and we see that MYRLA is out having a drink, and she comes over to the fire truck. She shows a little bit more of affection to Gil. She grabs his hand. She looks like excited to see him, which is great. I mean, the affection that she shows him, you could give him a kiss, a peck on the lips. She looks like she likes him. I don't know why she's delaying so long. I think she likes having that control in the upper hand, maybe. We see them get in their apartment, the next scene, and they are talking about budgeting, their budgets. Gil's asking questions about how much does she budget for groceries, all her bills. She doesn't know what the budget is. She just pays whatever. He asks her about her lash budget. She says that's irrelevant. She's very much a stickler. Her way, her business, her money, she pays it. In fact, we know she says that she does no credit card debt. She pays off her credit cards every month, which is great. All that shopping that she does, but she pays off her bills. That's good. She doesn't carry any debt. I guess one of their homework assignments from Pastor Cal was to look at each other's bank accounts, and she shows Gil hers, and he seems impressed. I guess his money in his account is not that impressive. We learn that Gil sends money back home to his mother in Colombia. So a big chunk, I don't know if it's a big chunk, but a lot of money goes there. He's been sending money home back to her since in his early 20s. They talk about retirement and savings. And apparently, I guess MYRLA shows Gil her savings, which seems substantial enough. And Gil says that his savings is tied to his 401k. So you really don't have a savings, because if you had an emergency, you can't just get that money out next day out of your 401k. I think there's a process to that. Well, so I guess he lives check to check, and they talk about, wanting to have a home, buy a home, and MYRLA says it sounds like they're going to have to start from scratch to save to buy a home. because he doesn't have much to contribute. Uh, we do we do see that once Gil comes in the home, that MYRLA comes out to greet him, and she's quickly telling on his dog Hype that he's slobbering, that he almost came into their bedroom. So I guess that's a boundary the dog has, that he's not allowed to go into the bedroom. She is a real stickler on that, this woman. She won't ease up at all. There comes a time where he's going to FaceTime with his mother in Colombia. And so MYRLA seems excited to see her, I guess, for the first time. We learned that during their wedding, she did send a message, or I don't know, a video message, but at least a message. It was in Spanish, and they played that during their wedding. They just looped us in on that in this episode. So we see her. We don't get to see a good picture of her, but she seems to look, Gil seems to look like his mom. She says that MYRLA is pretty. They talk in Spanish, and Gil calls her a word, and I guess it means bougie in Spanish. But MYRLA didn't know what the word meant. She had to ask after the phone call what that meant. Said that you're bougie, you're extra. And she's like, what do you mean extra? What does that mean? You're too much of everything. Are those just true feelings coming out? I mean, he doesn't hide them either. I think that's great. He is playful when he's talking about her, maybe some of her less than attractive traits. He does say it. I think he says it in a nice way. I don't know if she gets the hint. They have their housewarming together and have their friends and family come over. I think it's just friends. I don't think there's any family members in attendance for either one of them at this party. Now, MYRLA says that if she was invited to a housewarming, she probably wouldn't even go. She would just send a gift. And that's me too. I hate that I have some similarities to MYRLA. But honestly, I'm not that party person either, but I would send a gift. They have their friends come over. They talk about one another to their friends. And Gil says he trusts MYRLA enough, which is great. I think I think it's too soon. It's only 2 weeks. I don't know. I trust her enough to give her a kiss, but maybe he's too trusting too soon. They talk about that they haven't even kissed. I guess everyone's aware they didn't kiss at their wedding, and that's still up for discussion. I mean, goodness, girl, just give him a peck and nobody can talk about it anymore. I would just be through with it. And they discuss how MYRLA has this way of being. She's just so rigid, and she has this cookie cutter way of being in all her relationships. And Gil says he's the signature dish. I guess he deserves better. And I agree. Gil is the hors d'oeuvre, the signature dish, the dessert, and the late night snack. That's a good looking man. Gil talks to MYRLA's friend Dion. We have seen him before. And Gil asks, has she ever displayed any PDA with her other relationships? Dion has known her for a number of years. He's never seen that. And that's not like a bad thing. I mean, some people just like to keep that at home. I can understand that very well. MYRLA talks to his friend Willie. She tells Willie that she is driven by money and she's not going to be moving into his apartment. So whose apartment are you going to be living in? Because it looks like your apartment was even smaller than Gil's. It's just this. Does she not think this is going to really last? She doesn't operate and act like this is something that he's going to be a part of her future. I think when they were even talking about saving for a home and kids and stuff in the past, it's just surface talk. I don't think they're not really serious. I think he is. He's trying to push to be more serious, but she doesn't seem all that serious. So this relationship, it really shouldn't work. He's really too good for her. and she's wasting his time. But of course, they're committed to this process. They're going to see it through. But I have absolutely no hope for them. And that will free up Gil to find somebody better. Okay, our last couple, Zach and MICHAELA. Poor Zach. I don't know. I feel so sorry for him. And I think it's all MICHAELA's fault. Her behavior is just, it's just not good. Though I will say something nice about MICHAELA. I thought she looked so cute in this episode. The whole episode she was wearing this white polka dotted dress. And it was so cute on her. Her makeup was cute, so she cleans up well. Bad behavior. We show that Zach meets with his friend Jerron. And he was talking about MICHAELA, her attitude, her being loud and boisterous and confrontational. And Zach was telling him early on, and he didn't know if he could take it. Now, Jerron says something like, Zach has fairy tale expectations on this marriage. And I'm thinking, I don't think that's exactly true. He must not understand the whole situation. The way MICHAELA acts, it's no one would be comfortable with that. And it's not him having just a fairy tale idea what a relationship should be. She is way too much. She should have been working on herself before she joined this process. So she actually meets with the girls, MICHAELA, and she doesn't tell them about her blow up with Zach. Now, I know probably it's because it was all her fault, and she will never look like the good person coming out of that. She just handled that situation completely wrong. So she didn't mention it to them. She starts preparing for her housewarming with her friends, Janu and Courtney. Then Zach and his friend Jerron come and join the housewarming. And Zach goes around and he greets everyone with a hug. He gets to MICHAELA. And I noticed then something was off. He gives her this half hug. It just didn't look like a real hug, especially in a new relationship, a new budding relationship. You'd think you'd be all over each other. He was courteous. He gave her the hug, but he didn't even wrap both his arms around her. They get to a little bit of small talk. Zach goes into the room with MICHAELA's friends, and they talk, and they said that she's not normally vindictive and mean and with the outbursts. She's just getting to know him. It will be better as time goes on. That just shouldn't happen. No one should have to wait someone out to behave better. She's too old to be acting like that. Meanwhile, MICHAELA's talking to his friend Jerron, and Jerron knows the deal. And by what he's telling her, he gives her good advice about communicating, that you don't have to, you just talk normally, and whatever your feelings are, even if they're not good feelings. If you have something negative, you can say it in a way that you don't have to be confrontational about it. And she looked like she was listening to him. That time would only tell if she would really take heed to his advice. And when you have, a disagreement with somebody, how to go about and resolving the issue. But I think she did need to hear it from him. I know she won't listen, but at that moment it looked like she was listening. After everyone leaves, Zach and MICHAELA talk. He just didn't like how she was treating the situation with the housewarming. I don't know why she canceled this housewarming. She had canceled it, and that made Zach feel like type of way. He felt he was filled with anxiety, and he says he hasn't been eating. It's really tearing him up. I don't know if she knew that, but he didn't want to come inside. And it seems like maybe he hadn't been staying there this whole time since their fight or their blow up. From what he says, he come inside. Were you not coming in this whole time after the fight? And then they have a discussion and she's crying and she's trying to apologize. And he thinks that their differences are too big, how they solve a conflict. And he feels horrible. This is not the relationship that he wanted. I'm sure he didn't think this would happen so soon into the relationship. They've only been married 2 weeks. He ends up not staying at the house. He leaves and she goes into the room. It looks like she was crying. But I just don't think this is going to work out. And big changes are going to need to come from MICHAELA. And I don't know if she can in time. She really needs to work on herself. She needs time to do that. This is an accelerated process. I don't know if she has the time or the means. She needs to talk to somebody and reflect on how she's treating people and how that treatment is making other people feel. This man feels horrible and he hasn't been eating. Oh, MICHAELA, it's too much. This man just got over COVID. He was laid out for a week. A week of this marriage, he wasn't even with you. And you've made him feel horrible and not eat. I just don't see a happy ending for these two. That's all of the couples this week. Hopefully it looks like a little bit more exciting. This episode, I didn't get much from this episode. Hopefully we'll have more to discuss and we'll have more interactions with their spouses. They did announce that they are casting for the new season of Married at First Sight in San Diego. So they finally reached California. That's going to be interesting. So we'll have that to look forward to. But for now, that's everything. So if you guys would not mind, I would really love it if you would subscribe, like, and share this video. It would help this channel grow. And for now, that's all I have to say about Married at First Sight. So I'm going to get on out of here because I got living to do. See you later.